What's good, everyone? It's Josh here, and I just want to shoot a quick video on this recurring question that I get a lot. When is the best time to send an email? When's the best send time based on your research, what you've seen? And the answer isn't as simple as we might think. It's not a single timing that people should be sending the bulk of their emails from. But it's a process. It's a process, and I would like to share the process with you on how we managed to basically double the revenue that was generated for a client by identifying the ideal and optimal time for that brand, and not just an industry standard across the board, which may not be the best, you know, may not be the best decision to make. Um, so with that being said, how do you find the best send time for your emails? When should you send them? When should you schedule them? What we have found is finding the optimal time um, could, in fact, generate much more revenue from the exact same email without changing any other variables, just by optimizing the timing that you're sending that email um, on. So I'm going to break it down for you in kind of three stages, from strategy in theory to the results that we have seen and how we put that strategy in practice. When it comes to the theory of send times, especially with promotional emails, it's a little bit trickier because a lot of these emails are going to be landing in the promotional tab of your customers or your audience's inbox, which is totally okay as long as you're generating the right amount of attention and the right amount of open rates from your audience. So here's a quick answer. There is no perfect send time. It really depends on your audience. According to OmniSend in this case, Thursday is the best day to send promotional emails based on their research, right? Some studies show that there are more orders during the start of the month than any other time in the month itself. It's you know, sun. It's really hard to tell what exactly works for your brand until you actually tested these theories out in practice for yourself. In fact, the research done by OmniSend shows that, even though Sundays had better click rates and Wednesdays had better open rates, Thursdays was still typically the best day in overall performance, including results, meaning results in terms of revenue generated. And in general, the best, the recommended send times are typically 8 a.m., in the middle of day 1 p.m., and 4 p.m. 4 p.m. is highlighted here just to illustrate a point in a little bit. But when it comes to specific times of the day, the recommended times are typically when people are likely to be on a break, when they have the attention to spare, when they're not typically doing anything else. So it's really human by nature, and you have to understand what your audience goes through in any given day. If your customers are generally stay-at-home moms, for example, you might want to find sometime in the middle of the day instead of end of a typical work day to send out your emails, because that's typically when moms have a little bit more time to herself. You don't have to care for your kids in the morning or at the end of the day, at the end of the school day. With working adults, those that are in an office, office moms, office dads, you might want to tailor it to a typical office routine. Now, here's what we found, and it's pretty consistent over 3 A/B tests that we have conducted. The send times have been kind of tested over a certain period of time, but this is what we ended up with: 10 a.m. versus 4:15 p.m. Same email, same subject lines, same audience, same segments, and the email that has been sent at 4:15 p.m. generated a much higher revenue from just the place order metric on Shopify than 10 a.m. And although this might not seem really obvious, this is obviously just a minor change, a minor increase in terms of its AOV. But when we repeated that, with another, there's obviously an earlier email in that same week, we saw the same results. A similar trend. It's a higher placed order amount at the 4:15 p.m. mark than it is for the 10 a.m. mark. And one variant almost generated 2x in placed order value by just having this shift between 10 a.m. and 4:15 p.m. So what we ended up doing was just doing the same thing over and over again, just testing it across the entire month. One single hypothesis, one comparison, 10 a.m. versus 4:15 p.m. Which one is going to give me better results? And we found that consistently 4:15 is giving us much better results. You can obviously go into significance calculators and test out whether this is actually significant over the course of 3 tests. Do we have conclusive enough results to give us an idea of what how this functions, whether this makes sense or not? Plus, you can always think about things from your audience's perspective. Why is it that 4:15 p.m. is much more effective than 10 a.m.? You might want to put yourself in the shoes of your audience. What are they going through in the course of the day? Why is 10 a.m. not as good a timing as 4:15 p.m.? Once you have that understanding, you're then able to craft a better test, a better hypothesis, and ultimately a better result that would give you some actionable conclusion. And in this case, it's relatively actionable. We can then gear our send times generally towards the 4:15 p.m. mark. So what we did in a nutshell, we did 3 A/B tests in a single month to make a conclusion. One is definitely not enough. You typically won't get any conclusive results from just a single A/B test. You might want to do it across multiple campaigns and test the same hypothesis, and keep everything else consistent. The content, the subject line, the preview text, graphics, nothing else changes. The only variable that has been changed is the send time, 10 a.m. versus 4:15 p.m. And the only thing that we wanted to optimize for was revenue generated. How much revenue was generated during this period of time, and we want to make a conclusion on which timing was a better, gave a better outcome. Ultimately, I believe that we could have done a little bit more tests. Some of the data that we've collected wasn't, I wasn't feeling super confident with it. So that comes to the art part of it, the art of data analytics and testing, having a feeling of whether this is conclusive or not, whether it aligns with your initial why, whether or not this aligns with what you understand about your audience. Does it make sense for them to buy more at 4 p.m. and why? If you're able to align that with kind of what you had in mind, it's going to give you a much more powerful and much more conclusive data decision that you can make in the coming campaigns in the following holiday seasons and all that stuff. That's it for me. I hope this helped. Oh, one more slide. And so, just to conclude and reiterate on what I've talked about, approach this as a case-to-case basis. Understand your audience. Does it make sense for them to be buying at 4 p.m.? If you have an idea, a hypothesis, test it out, and don't do a single test. Have it across multiple campaigns so that you have enough data points for you to make a conclusive decision. Also, Customers have different behaviors and preferences, so it is not a good idea to rely on industry benchmarks and industry suggestions on, all right, the beauty industry buys way more on Thursday than they do on any other day of the week, so I'm only going to be sending promotional emails on Thursdays. That's generally not the good idea, and you have to think about it in a holistic manner as well on how does this Thursday promo email play into the entire spectrum of content that you have planned out for the week. Have a clear testing framework like what I've shared with you. Most things must be kept constant, making sure that it's clean and only having one variable in play. Run your tests, make sure you're documenting everything and track everything so that you know how to make a decision at the end of the day. And, test this out. Alternative send times. This is probably something that you can test out for your own brands. Give it a shot. We know that it gave us some really, really amazing results. There's only one example. There are way more examples that we have behind the scenes that I'm not allowed to share, or because of client confidentialities or things that are kind of just a little bit more sensitive. But it's very, very impactful. I would strongly recommend you test this out. It doesn't take a lot of time. It's literally just the same content, same email, with different send times. This will give you a high leverage to make better decisions on when exactly to send out your most impactful holiday emails, especially during Black Friday, key holiday events for your brand, and product launches as well. And that is the end of this little quick little case study input. I hope this has helped. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. And I would love to hear your feedback. What other questions you want to hear? Tell me if this is complete bullshit. I want to hear that too. If you have found a better way of doing things, I would love to learn from you as well. If not, I hope this has helped you, because it has absolutely crushed some of the goals that we have set for ourselves, and doesn't take too much time, right? So high impact, minimal effort, that's what we're going for. Have a good rest of the day, and see you in the comments down below.